The 6-hour endurance race at Spa-Francorchamps was a classic, as we saw some very close and intense action in both categories of hypercar and LMGT3. And finally in 2025, there was a genuine battle for the overall win. So this is a complete race report on what happened during the 2025 Total Energies 6 Hours of Spa. As we approach the third round of the World Endurance Championship this season, Ferrari was absolutely the manufacturer to beat. Coming back from Imola, the Italian manufacturer had taken victory again for the second time in a row here in the hypercar class. And here in Belgium, Ferrari AF Corsa were looking to take their third win. They started off the weekend strong, and all three Ferraris would inevitably qualify at the top, with Antonio Fuoco on pole in the number 50 Ferrari 499P. Meanwhile, in LMGT3, Lexus continued their strong showing in 2025, with Finn Gerzitz qualifying on pole in the number 78 Akotis ASP car. Once this race began, Ferrari and Lexus held on to the leading positions in their respective categories, while in hypercar, the number 36 Alpine A424 made up good ground and moved from 6th to 4th right behind the three Ferraris. The only impactful incident we would see on lap 1 was at the top of the hill when the number 5 Porsche Penske would be spun around after contact from Sebastian Bourdais' Jota Cadillac. Although the factory 963 would thankfully start driving in the right direction again and rejoin the rest of the pack later on. Early on, we would get our first retirement of the event, as Nico Pino would stop the number 99 Proton Competition Porsche 963 at Le Combe because of a technical issue which forced the team to retire. So of course, an unfortunate early end for Proton's Porsche 963 in the overall category. But the team still had two competitive Ford Mustangs in the LMGT3 class, as in fact, these cars were involved in the fight for the win as they both were placed in the top 3. Up at the front in hypercar, it was confirmed that Ferrari AF Corsa once again had the strongest car to fight for the win in the WEC. But compared to the previous two rounds, this wouldn't be an easy win as they had major competition. Surprisingly, the manufacturer that would fight the Italian brand for the victory during this race would be Alpine, because as the race progressed, Frederick Makovicky aboard the number 36 car continued to move up the order as he soon passed the number 83 Ferrari for third as he looked to take Alpine to the victory once again in the WEC for the very first time since 2022. This was arguably Alpine's best race in the WEC since the A424 debuted, as following a successful podium finish in Imola last time out, the Alpine endurance team proved to be the star of the show during the next round here at Spa. In particular, the number 36 Alpine was flying, and genuinely was in contention for the win during this event, as after the pass on the 83 Ferrari, Makovicky would catch up and then pass the number 51 Ferrari for second place, which was just fantastic stuff from the Alpine endurance team. As the race of the front between Ferrari and Alpine continued, further down the order, some of the hypercar entries were looking to get past the LMGT3 traffic while also doing some intense racing themselves, which just proves what multi-class racing truly is. We even saw Kevin Magnussen go into the grass in his number 15 BMW to maneuver his way past some of the GT traffic, and Kevin's skills definitely came into play as the former F1 driver was able to keep the M Hybrid V8 in a straight line and surprisingly ahead of his competitors. When it came to the battle for the win in LMGT3, to be clear, during this point and pretty much throughout the whole race, the battle was between these three brands, Lexus, Ford, and Ferrari, and ultimately it would be an intense fight to the end between these three individual teams for each manufacturer. Elsewhere in hypercar, a few of the entries would gain a position due to the drama for one of the Ferrari 499P entries, as the number 83 AF Corsa car went into the garage with a turbo issue, and by the way, that's this yellow Ferrari. The car did return to the track, but unfortunately the opportunity for points in this race was now over for the customer-entered AF Corsa 499P, but hopefully the number 83 car bounces back stronger in the next event. As the race progressed, there would also be drama in LMGT3, as a virtual safety car would be called out for two separate incidents. First, there was the number 31 WRT BMW, which had contact at the bus stop chicane with a Ferrari GT car, and eventually it went off of the first corner of La Source and eventually retired. While the second cause of the VSC was because Petro Umberesco had to stop the number 87 Akotis ASP Lexus on the Kemmel Straight because of a technical issue, which eventually forced the team to retire the RCF GT3 once it made it back to the garage. Soon we saw a fantastic move from Loic Duval in the number 94 Peugeot, as he went into the middle of a battle between a Ferrari and a BMW hypercar and overtook both cars at Lecombe to move into 4th place and put Peugeot into 3rd and 4th respectively. To be clear, Alpine weren't the only French brand having a good race here in Belgium, as in fact this was turning out to be a very good race for Peugeot this season, and arguably their best race so far with this new iteration of the 9X8 hypercar. Both the number 93 and the number 94 cars were really having good races, and were both in contention for a top 5 finish. But unfortunately, things did not go the way for Peugeot at the end of this race, which I will explain in a moment. Back up at the front in hypercar and during a set of pit stops, the Alpine Endurance team went for the undercut strategy and a completely different one to the leading 499P. They pit their number 36 car first, while in the second lap, Ferrari AF Corsa decided to pit the number 50 car for its mandatory stop. But by the time Miguel Molina exited the pit lane, the number 36 Alpine was alongside and had warmer tires, which allowed the A424 to sweep around the Ferrari and into the overall lead of this race. With the race progressing and Alpine now in front, there was an intense battle in the hypercar midfield between Toyota, Porsche, and Cadillac. Toyota and Porsche were still heavily affected by the balance of performance, but the entries could still fight for some decent points, while Hertz Team Jota also had strong pace with both of their Cadillac V Series R entries. The battle was highlighted between these moments between the number 5 Porsche and the number 38 Cadillac, with both cars going side by side, and while Nico Mueller tried to defend, Earl Bamber got a better run out of turn 1, got past the lap Mercedes, and moved ahead of the Porsche into 8th at the time. Unfortunately, there would be bad news for United Autosports, as there would be contact between the number 60 Iron Lynx Mercedes and the team's number 95 McLaren, which sent the 720S into the barriers. The safety car would be called upon, but the McLaren was obviously out of this race, and thankfully driver Sean Galale was fine. But it was clear that the Indonesian racer didn't have good luck here at Spa in the WEC, as before this, Galale was also involved in a huge accident last year with a Cadillac when he was racing for Team WRT. Later on, United would have another unlucky moment, as the number 59 McLaren would also have an incident where the racing spirit of Lehman Aston Martin pushed the McLaren into the wall. Driver Sebastian Boe would surprisingly get the car back out on track, but there wouldn't be any successful results from McLaren here at Spa, and therefore this would be a pretty disastrous day for United Autosports. But hopefully the next race at Le Mans is better for the team, who appear not just in LMGT3, but in the one-off LMP2 class as well. Now, something I do want to point out is that when the safety car came out and when the cars decided to pit, Ferrari AF Corsa decided to swap their two cars around while in the pit lane. This was a very interesting situation and something I had never seen before in the WEC, and neither had the commentators seen this when they were commentating on this race, as you can check in the broadcast. But technically it was allowed, so this resulted in the Imola winning number 51 Ferrari moving ahead of the pole-sitting car. When the safety car finally went in and strategies mixed up the order once more, it would actually be the number 93 Peugeot that would lead the field away in the hypercar class temporarily, but technically it would actually be the number 36 Alpine that would inherit the lead. Meanwhile, in LMGT3, the battle for the win at this point was primarily between Ford and Ferrari, with the two Proton competition cars ahead of the two Vista AF Corsa cars. But as time progressed, there would actually be a swap between the leading Fords, as the number 88 Mustang would now get ahead of the number 77 car. With the number 93 Peugeot now out of the equation after pitting, in Hypercar, Ferrari AF Corsa continued to put pressure on the leading Alpine until the pit stops happened. Of the top three leading cars, the number 51 Ferrari was the first to pit, and then later on, Foco brought the number 50 car down pit lane, with Jules Gounon doing the same during that exact lap in the leading number 36 Alpine. Remember when the French manufacturer beat Ferrari to take the lead in the pits earlier on in this race? Well, now the situation was effectively reversed. Mick Schumacher, who had taken over for Gounon in the number 36 Alpine, would unfortunately come out in third behind both of the Ferrari AF Corsa entries, with the number 51 now ahead of the number 50. Now, over in LMGT3, there would be a switch in position for the lead, as the number 54 Ferrari of Davide Ragon would pressurize the leading Ford and eventually get past at turn 9, with a swift send on Dennis Olsen's number 88 Mustang to take the lead for Vista AF Corsa. Moving on, and with under 2 hours to go, there would be drama in the hypercar class, as the number 94 Peugeot and the number 20 BMW made contact at Le Combe, which gave the Peugeot damage, and this was unfortunate because the 9X8 had a very good chance of getting a top 5 result and potentially even a podium. The number 94 Peugeot had left suspension damage because of that incident, and the team had no choice but to put the car in the garage and retire it. As for the number 20 BMW from Team WRT, which was involved in the incident, it stayed in the battle for the win with the Alpine and the factory Ferraris, and actually the BMW moved into second ahead of the number 51 car on genuine pace. However, disaster struck for the number 20 BMW, as the car would be forced into the garage with around 30 minutes to go because of a brake issue, which was super unfortunate because the M Hybrid V8 was in contention for a strong result during this race. With the event approaching the final lap, Ferrari AF Corsa continued to lead in hypercar, with the number 21 Vista AF Corsa Ferrari now leading in LMGT3. The podium places in hypercar towards the end of the race were a bit confusing though because of different strategies. For example, the number 12 Hertz Team Jota Cadillac was actually in second place just till about 13 minutes to go, which would have been really cool to see the crew that won last year get onto the podium. But ultimately, as the clock ticked down to the checkered flag, the entries settled into their respective order, with the number 51 Ferrari eventually crossing the line in first to win the Total Energies 6 Hours of Spa in 2025 and deliver a Ferrari 1-2 here in Belgium. The 51 crew would go back-to-back from their win in Imola, with Alessandro Pierguidi, James Calado, and Antonio Giovinazzi winning again, and giving Ferrari redemption to what happened to them last year when they were affected by the red flag. Meanwhile, the pole-sitting number 50 Ferrari would claim second, while the number 36 Alpine would secure a well-deserved second podium in a row. The top 5 would then be concluded by a really solid result for the number 8 Toyota after the Japanese manufacturer struggles here, while the number 12 Hertz Team Jota Cadillac would complete the top 5. And actually, it would be a very solid result for the British team, with the number 38 car finishing right behind the number 12 in 6th. A few quick notes on hypercar before I move on, and BMW and Peugeot definitely deserved a stronger result than what they got here at Spa at the end. Both manufacturers got unlucky with issues, but hopefully they'll bounce back stronger at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The same can be said about Porsche Penske Motorsport. Another nightmarish weekend for the 963, despite the performance over in IMSA during the same weekend at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Spa clearly went better than the past 2 rounds for Porsche, but they need to bounce back stronger at Le Mans and be in contention for the win again, but hopefully they aren't affected by the balanced performance too much. Meanwhile, Aston Martin had their best showing to date with the Valkyrie AMR LMH in the WEC. The 007 car in particular had a really strong race and was actually on the verge of picking up a point or two. Ultimately though, the heart of racing couldn't get in the points after all, but still a really promising day from Aston Martin. In LMGT3, it was also Ferrari that took the victory, as the number 21 Vista AF Corsa Ferrari 296 GT3 was on top, with Francois Ariot, Simon Mann, and Alessio Rivera driving the entry. Meanwhile, second place would go to the number 88 Ford Mustang after a really strong showing from Proton competition, while the second Vista AF Corsa entry, the number 54 Ferrari, would finish in third. Then, completing the top 5 would be the number 77 Ford Mustang from Proton, and the number 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin completed the top 5. Moving on to the championship standings heading out of the 6 hours of Spa. In Hypercar, the number 51 Ferrari extends its championship lead with 75 points, followed by the number 50 Ferrari with 57 points, while the number 83 Ferrari completes the top 3. Moving into 4th is the number 8 Toyota, driven by Buemi, Hartley, and Hirakawa, with a 38-point gap to the number 51 Ferrari, while the number 36 Alpine completes the top 5. After the A424 comes the 2 BMW M Team WRT entries, the number 20 ahead of the number 15, with the number 7 Toyota GR010 right behind. Finally, completing the top 10 are the 2 Hertz Team Jota Cadillacs, the number 12 and 9th, with the number 38 and 10th moving ahead of the Porsche Penske number 6 car. As for the hypercar manufacturer standings, Ferrari continued to lead with 136 points, followed by Toyota, who moves ahead of BMW. Alpine is placed in 4th ahead of Cadillac and Porsche, with Peugeot in 7th, and rounding off the top 8 is Aston Martin. For LMGT3, at the top is still the number 33 Corvette from TF Sport, with 44 points. But just 4 points behind is the number 21 Ferrari from Vista AF Corsa, which has closed the gap following their win here at Spa, while the number 78 Akotis ASP Lexus is in 3rd. The number 92 Manthey First Form Porsche continues to be in 4th, with the number 54 Vista AF Corsa Ferrari moving into the top 5. Then comes the number 59 United Autosports McLaren, followed by the number 31 Team WRT BMW, the 27 Heart of Racing Aston Martin, the second Team WRT BMW, which is that number 46 car, with the number 88 Proton Competition Ford rounding off the top 10. So that completes my race report of the 2025 edition of the Total Energy 6 Hours of Spa. Next up on the WEC calendar is the big race, the one we've all been looking forward to, the 24 Hours of Le Mans. But more on that event later on. But regarding this Belgian endurance race, what did you think of it? Well, be sure to let me know all your thoughts in the comments below.